ya KBC, ungana naye Askofu Michael Wanderi.
Ningetaka nikwambie, our Jehovah God, because the Bible says he is the same yesterday, today and forevermore. He is able to take you to a place of abundance. He is able to take you to Rehoboth in the name of Jesus Christ.
Kipindi ni neno la neema, ukiletewa naye Askofu Michael Wanderi wa kanisa la Christian Foundation Fellowship Kiambu. Usikose.
My trust is in you.
Good evening. This is Channel 1 News Hour. Well, we trust that you had a lovely Friday. It is the 7th day of May 2021, and here on KBC Channel 1, we have a comprehensive bulletin lined up for you. And to kick us off, we take a look at the highlights.
I have received reports that certain people have already sent fee guidelines that they want their grade 4s to report. Go and create your country, create your government, and then create your education system.
Back to school. 7.5 billion shillings disbursed to schools for COVID preparedness ahead of Monday reopening.
I expect all the senators from the 44 to represent the interests of those counties, yeah? Because that is what the Article 96 says, that the Senate shall represent the interests of the counties and shall protect them.
Bragging rights. Pro-handshake MPs now want the Senate to take the cue and expedite passage of the BBI bill. And 5 gold diggers dead. Several injured as cave collapses on them in Kakamega.
Welcome to the broadcast. My name is Jacky. Wambiru. Sign language interpreter is Lucimo. Remember, this is an interactive segment where you can reach us on our social media handles at KBC Channel 1 or at Jacky Wambiru. Now, to kick us off, the government has disbursed 7.5 billion shillings to secondary schools to boost their COVID-19 preparedness ahead of reopening of schools scheduled for Monday next week. Confirming this, Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha ordered school administrators to adhere to the date and other issued reopening guidelines, warning private schools against recalling grade 4 pupils until July.
Schools are set to reopen on Monday, the 10th of May, as earlier discussed and agreed upon by education stakeholders. In preparation for this, Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha says money has already been wired into secondary school accounts to facilitate the reopening amidst the COVID-19 pandemic.
And we are going to work with you through our field officers as much as far as we can. That learners expected to report to their schools are those in PP1, PP2, grade 1 to grade 3, standard 5 to standard 7, and Form 1 to Form 3, period.
Speaking while giving a report on the conclusion of marking of the recently concluded KCSE exam, Magoha added that institutions that contradict government directives on reopening shall be met by the full force of the law.
So when the government pronounces itself and you think you want to create your own government, then we shall come on you like a ton of bricks.
The CS particularly warned private schools against recalling grade 4 pupils until July.
We have received reports that certain people have already sent fee guidelines that they want their grade 4s to report. Go and create your country, create your government, and then create your education system.
Teachers that agree to take the COVID-19 jab will also be given a priority when the doses are available. Magoha adding that the Kenya National Examination Council will release the results as soon as possible, and once that is done, the ministry shall embark on preparing for the next national examinations. This, even as the men of cloth from Migori are raising concerns over heightened political tension and poor infrastructure ahead of opening dates. The clergy are asking leaders to shift focus from politics and concentrate on improving infrastructure in the county's educational institutions.
In areas matters COVID, to ensure that by the time the schools open, the schools are safe for the students, the pupils, and the teachers.
We want to urge our politicians to act with a lot of restraint and avoid issuing statements that are divisive.
Yusuf Far, Channel 1 News.
And in the political arena, the pro-handshake members of parliament now want the Senate to take the cue from the National Assembly and fast-track the passage of the BBI bill. Speaking just a day after the National Assembly's passage of the bill, Leader of Majority Amos Kimonye says he expects the Senate to reflect what he termed the interest of the counties when taking the vote next week. ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi has welcomed the vote.
Emerging from a glorious victory following last night's passage of the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020 by the National Assembly, the leadership of the majority side now wants Senate to follow suit and endorse the constitutional review.
I expect all the senators from the 44 to represent the interests of those counties, yeah? Because that is what the Article 96 says, that the Senate shall represent the interests of the counties and shall protect them.
Kenya has changed, the country has changed. The era when you can just cheat people, lie people, just because you're a party leader. You know, we are just being magnanimous. Because these numbers can lead even to other things, you know that.
Well, the Senate Speaker Ken Lusaka is set to make a ruling on whether Senate can make substantive amendments to the bill. The leadership claims the passage of the bill is an outright endorsement of President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga's agenda on moving the country forward.
President Uhuru is in charge. Yeah? He has created his partnerships. Yeah? Yeah? And the Kenyans are with him. Anyone who is defying him is doing so at their own risk.
Last night, 224 members of the National Assembly overwhelmingly voted for the Constitutional Amendment Bill, the first bill to get more than the requisite two-thirds majority, while 63 opposed it in what appeared to be a battle of wits between the handshake duo and the anti-handshake side linked to DP William Ruto. The turnaround by a few diehards of DP Ruto who voted in favor of a bill shocked pundits.
I, Onesmus Kimani Ngonjiri, MP Bahati, I vote yes.
On behalf of the people of Kilifi, and because Kilifi is getting 4 new constituencies, I vote yes.
Murang'a County MP Sabina Chege lauding those from DP Ruto's camp in the Mount Kenya region for putting the interests of the region first.
Thank people like Kimani Ngonjiri who differentiated between politics and the development of their people. And I'm praying that when the referendum goes to the people, that the people will also unanimously support BBI so that we can move forward as a country.
Nominated MP David Ole Sankok, who was among the Ruto allied MPs who voted for the bill, claims he did so in a bid to avoid a divisive referendum.
If we would have voted no, then it was sending the BBI bill direct to a referendum, which as a hustler, my prayer is to avoid a referendum, to avoid them versus us, to avoid a no-yes campaign in the referendum that will divide Kenyan.
Meanwhile, ANC party leader Musalia Mudavadi has hailed the passage of a constitutional amendment bill, calling on Kenyans to remain vigilant as the country stares at a referendum.
Sasa mpura utarudi kwetu kule mashinani. Tujitahidi
tutekeleze safari hii ikwishe vizuri. Tujenge taifa letu.
According to Article 257 of the Constitution, the IEBC will have 90 days to set a date for a referendum after Parliament dispenses with the bill. That, however, may be upset by a court injunction that ordered IEBC not to set in motion preparations for a referendum until several cases filed against the referendum bid are heard and determined.
In other news, governors from Tana River, Isiolo and Lamu counties were Friday hard pressed to explain how they spent millions of shillings meant to help fight COVID-19. This is after reports by the Auditor General pointed to widespread misuse of the funds meant to caution Kenyans from the pandemic. Now appearing before the Senate Health Committee, the three county bosses dismissed the claims as mere allegations.
By the Senate Committee on Health on alleged misuse of COVID-19 funds by counties enters homestretch. It was the turn of Isiolo, Tana River and Lamu counties to defend themselves against claims of plundering public resources through sourcing of expensive and cost-inflated equipment, double payment of staff and failure to pay frontline workers at a time the country is grappling with the pandemic. The county of Isiolo defending itself against overlooking the Public Finance Management Act in sourcing for COVID equipment and payment of staff against the Salaries and Remuneration Commission circular.
That variance is of the making of the Auditor General and COB. As far as we are concerned, and we can prove that 54,978,463 is our expenditure as at 31st July 2020, Chairman.
Send the documentation that we've requested within the next 7 days, so that when we sit down and retreat to write the report, we can take all those issues into consideration. It is important that you provide us with a second supplementary budget that shows that the funds which the auditors had questioned but had not been included in the budget have now been corrected, because if it was still in the same financial year, kindly provide us. Also, don't forget to provide us with the SRC circular that shows the formula that you use to pay the committee members of the COVID committee.
How much was it paid by the county government of Isiolo on the SRC circular letters?
Claims of forgery in Tana River County, particularly raising the attention of the committee, with the chair directing that more information be provided to further guide the committee in its report writing.
The issue of the imprest warrants were written after the fact. That's a very serious issue. You know, and even before we proceed further, we need to establish, first of all, whether what the governor is saying corroborates with what the auditor is saying, because from what we're getting now, it's sort of like amount to forgery.
Tana River County also denied not paying frontline workers payment for non-pharmaceutical items without contract to Farm Trade Limited. Investigations into how Lamu used its COVID allocation funds was, however, pushed to a later date, as the county had not furnished the auditors with the defense documents.
You're doomed if you spend the money without budgeting for it. You're doomed when you're not. This time, you spend money that you did not budget for. Where is the budget? Because I'm still not understanding your response. And then we'll get back to the other substantive matters.
There is some ignorance from the county government of Lamu in terms of this is a very serious exercise. And normally when an auditor visits your county, they are expected to get some information from you. So I am therefore shocked that they are saying they spent money and they haven't presented any documentation to show how they have spent the money.
The committee directing that all documents be submitted before the matter is queried in 7 days. For Channel 1 News, I'm Gladys Mungai.
Still on COVID-19, Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe says the entry of the Indian COVID-19 variant into the country now calls for extra vigilance in the war against the global pandemic. Kagwe says the entry of other variants remain a possibility, even as the ministry undertakes sequencing to establish risk levels and prevent further community spread of the new COVID-19 variant. The health CS was speaking in Nyeri, where he announced that 568 more people had tested positive for COVID-19 over the last 24 hours.
Following the confirmation of the presence of the Indian COVID-19 variant in the country, the Minister of Health is calling for more vigilance and individual responsibility from members of the public. Speaking in Nyeri County, Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe said the entry of variants in any country was inevitable.
That it cannot be business as usual when it comes to COVID-19. As long as there are new variants coming into the country, and they will come to the country, no matter how much effort we put in, there is not a single country, unless you close your borders completely and allow nobody in and nobody out. That is the only way you can be sure. And even then, you never know.
Sentiments echoed by the Director of Public Health, Dr. Francis Kuria, who noted that the new variant spreads faster.
We all know that the variant is more virulent, is more contagious, and is more transmissible. So we are urging all of us, having known that the variant is here with us, to keep that vigilance higher. And as we continue sequencing and continue our surveillance efforts, urging all of us also to take care, that we make sure that we don't get this variant circulating in Nyeri, for example, and in the communities.
In the last 24 hours, the country has recorded a 6.3% infection rate following the confirmation of 568 COVID-19 infections from 9,029 samples tested. The latest figures have pushed the total number of caseload to 162,666. Another 15 deaths have been recorded. The 15 deaths have been occurred on diverse dates to push the number of fatalities to 2,865. 1,086 patients are currently admitted in hospital, with 131 being in the intensive care unit. To date, 911,515 people have been vaccinated against COVID-19 in the country.
And as there are counties that are slow at distributing and carrying out the vaccination process, because we cannot afford to have the vaccines, because we cannot have the vaccines expire, we must therefore recapture and redistribute in areas that counties are slow at carrying out the exercise.
Nancy Okware, Channel 1 News.
And on emerging issues, courtesy of COVID-19, business is gradually returning to normalcy for thousands of entrepreneurs spread across counties located in the western region just a week after the government lifted a restriction of movement in and out of the 5 zoned counties. Public service vehicle operators plying the Kisumu, Nairobi and Kisumu Mombasa highways say they have begun registering returns thanks to the lifting of the ban. Bar owners, however, are pleading with the government to reconsider the decision to limit their operating hours. Well, Wycliffe Okech has more details.
1 week since President Kenyatta lifted the blockade on the 5 disease-infested counties of Nairobi, Kiambu, Kajiado, Nakuru and Machakos, the effect of the relaxed restriction has been significant in the transport sector.
Kuna 2-3 zimeanza kubadilika hapa Kisumu. Kuna magari ambayo yalikuwa yanabeba abiria ya kutoa Nairobi wakileta hapa, na zimeanza kuingia, at least naona uchumi hata chakula zimeanza kuingia, vitu kama waru kutoka kule juu Nakuru zinaingia hapa, nyanya kutoka Nakuru zinaingia hapa, ambapo wakazi Kisumu at least waanza kujitegemea.
Business is not moving that much. Things are picking up slowly, but we still have faith and hope that things will just come back to normal.
Although PSV operations are recording small profit margins, the operators say it is better than total shutdown of operation. The operators are, however, pleading with the government to adopt favorable strategies and only use cessation of movement as a last resort.
Hakuna vile mtu atatoka hapa Kisumu aende Mombasa ukishafunga Nakuru na Nairobi. Wakati wa kufunga anaweza sema gari zimetoka mahali fulani zinakuja na majina yote. Waweke kama inaweza kuja na magari, inaweza kuja na majina imeandikwa abiria fulani wametoka station fulani. Na kwa gari kwa broad block wana confirm inapita. Kuliko wakifunga Nakuru, Kisumu kama imefungwa indirect.
But even as the transport sector slowly breathes back to life, bar owners say they are still feeling the pinch despite the relaxed restrictions.
Club actually starts from 7 or 8 going onwards. So when we say we close by 7, it's just saying like we change the business to something else. As we speak now, by last week, I've laid staff, 3/4 of the staff we started with. You can imagine, those staff has family to feed on, have children to take to school. Again, government are closing and they're opening schools. We don't know where these parents will get school fees.
They claim they have endured a difficult 1 year and that further restriction may prove fatal to their businesses. Reporting for Channel 1 News from Kisumu County, I'm Wycliffe Okech.
And on to the corridors of justice. Acting Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu has challenged young lawyers to adapt to the dynamism of the legal profession. Mwilu says it is the responsibility and duty of legal minds to promote public confidence in the entire edifice of justice. The acting CJ spoke when she presided over the admission of 191 newly qualified lawyers to the role of advocates.
The acting Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu says young lawyers must be adaptable, innovative and conscious of the evolving legal terrain within which the law is practiced.
Having taken this oath, you must now live and breathe constitutionalism as an advocate. You must understand your role in the continuing formation and development of our nascent and fragile constitutional democracy. As an advocate of the High Court of Kenya.
Speaking when she presided over the admission of the 191 newly qualified lawyers to the role of advocates, Mwilu urged lawyers to maintain the highest level of honesty in their line of work.
In a society that seems to have lost its way and abandoned its compass, do not try to fit in. Be the only stranger in Jerusalem, and please do the right thing.
The advocates would also receive nuggets of wisdom from top legal minds drawn from various areas of legal practice.
And the cardinal principle which I want you to apply from Monday, once you start your legal career, is that if you fail to prepare, you should be prepared to fail.
When called upon, or even through volunteer, take up positions in your community.
When you'll be appearing in court, for example, your colleagues, the opposing counsel, are not your enemies.
What the society expects of you is an advocate that is going to be fair, that is going to be defined by integrity, one that is going to contribute to society.
Well, as they now take the next step of their legal practice as advocates of the High Court, the solemnity of the oath they've just taken will now be put into practice. Meanwhile, Abdulrashid Abdul Sharif, who has been charged for obtaining registration by false pretense between 7th of January 2018 and 29th June 2020 at the Ministry of Lands headquarters, RV House, and personation with intent to deceive. Appearing before Chief Magistrate Francis Ndai, Abdulrashid pleaded not guilty and was granted a bond of 200,000 shillings and a cash bill of 100,000 shillings. The case will be mentioned on the 20th of May for pre-trial directions. For Channel 1 News, I'm Serafina Robe.
Now, away from the scales of justice, 5 gold diggers died Thursday night after the cave collapsed on them at Bushiangala in Kakamega County. Several others escaped with injuries and are admitted to various hospitals in the county. Leaders from Western region are now calling on the government to put in place safety measures for gold miners.
It's a cry after losing a loved one at the home of 32-year-old James Atabachi, a resident of Ikolomani constituency in Kakamega County. James is among the 4 miners who perished at the Bushiangala gold mines, which collapsed Thursday night. His family still trying to come to terms with the death of a man they depended on as their breadwinner.
Nimepoteza mtoto wangu, amewacha bibi na watoto, hata sijui vile nitalinda hao watoto.
Ajabu tena yeye ndiye alikuwa mtu wa kwanza kufariki ndani ya shimo. Ni huzuni sana, nimehuzunika. Macho watoto wachanga. Sijui hata vile nitalinda hao watoto.
Kakamega Governor Wycliffe Oparanya and the area Member of Parliament Bernard Shinali, who visited the Killer gold mine, joining other leaders and the family in mourning the loss of their kin and calling on the government to put in place efforts to ensure the safety of gold miners.
Wawe na proper mining strategy. Mtu mwenye atakuwa amepewa leseni ya kufanya hii kazi hapa awe na majibu ya ile maswali nimeuliza, na isitoshe atuambie zile safeguards za security, yani ni mbinu gani zenye ataweka katika hii biashara ndio kama mtu ameenda chini asipoteze maisha yake.
Watu 1080 kufanya kazi hii, itatakiwa hii mine iwe regulated, kwa sababu wakati mwingine tunaweza kupata shida, na uwezi kuwalaumu watoto wetu ambao wanafanya hapa kazi, ni kwa sababu wanataka kitu cha kula.
But my advice is this: wakati wa mvua ikinyesha, ningeomba tusimamishe uchimbaji wa madini kwa sababu the ground is loose.
The other 4 miners who died are said to have come from Migori County. The chairman of the gold mine, Jilani Mukobi, has affirmed that all the 16 people who were inside the gold mine before it collapsed have been removed, with those who sustained injuries still receiving treatment at various hospitals in Kakamega County.
Nilishuka kwa shimo haraka, nikapata 16 people. Watu wako chini ambao wengine mchanga imefinyia kwa ukuta. Sasa hao wenye walikuwa pata wako na nguvu, niliwaambia msitoke, tukangani kutoa. Bila nilitoa mtu mmoja, nikarudi juu, nikatafuta reinforcement mpaka chini, nikamwambia muhakikishe mtu mwenye akai wote ametoka.
Mining activities within the county have been suspended until further notice. Reporting for Channel 1 News, I'm Safin Acheng Oma.
Well, on that note, we take a short break. But before we take that break, let's take a look at comments coming in on our Facebook page. Oyando Wycliffe, you say you're watching us from KC. Brian Sanga, you say you're watching us from Makueni. Kisu Rispa, you say you're watching us from Utawala. While Samuel Nyondo, you're watching us from Mombasa. Those are some of the comments coming in on our Facebook page. Well, thank you so much for keeping it Channel 1 Weekend. Let's take that break.
Did you know life is uncertain? Do not leave anything to chance. Protect the financial needs of your family in case you die or lose income due to terminal or critical illness. Take up a life insurance policy today to protect the financial future of your loved ones. Now you know. IRA, promoting insurance, protecting the insured. This weekend on KBC Channel 1.
Man, now you want to turn such a beautiful progress into a meaningless fight.
Julia, what are you trying to say? That me and Mwalimu are together. Look at you. You need to apologize. Shame on you. To me.
If you want to be part of this conversation, you have to speak in a language we all understand. Siti wewe.
Eh? Mimi nizidi? Nani anizidishe? Kukuru kama wewe. Nakwambia kakatululu kako utameza.
How can a huge person like that be beaten by a woman?
What could have teacher done Swahili? Poor Mwalimu.
Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.
Next on.
Well, I'm not gonna tell anybody I'm pregnant, Nora. Please listen to me. Don't tell anybody. Not a single soul, okay? I already know the reason why Lucio gave the letter to Amaya's daughter to separate her from Max.
And why?
Because Cesar forced him to write it.
Cesar?
Cesar.
These are the coordinates of the location of where the car fell and where they also found your shoe.
I can use this information to finally find where Lucretia decided to bury my mother.
But there is nothing for me here.
How ungrateful you are. I thought you came here to ask for forgiveness after how you acted during the wait.
Welcome back. Now, more than 80 houses have been set ablaze in Mbobot, a forest in Marakwet East Sub-County by unknown assailants. Residents say the assailants struck without notice, destroying everything in their path before disappearing in the thick of the forest. The affected are currently camping at Maron and Marijo primary schools and are calling on the government to investigate the arson and assist them to get back on their feet.
They want answers, and they want them now. These residents of Mbobot are an angry lot after their houses were torched by unknown people.
Nao na mzozo wa shamba, lakini hawa wajatumia utu wa binadamu kwa sababu wamekuja kutufamia usiku tukiwa kwenye usingizi.
The irate residents blocked a section of Mbobot Road to protest the attack that has left them with nowhere to go.
Vitu vyote kama kuku hii, vitabu na kila kitu, hata uniforms hakuna, chakula na kadhalika, hata nitaongea gani niwache gani, yote chakula yote, vitu vyote, manguo hii, mle nguo niko naye sasa, hii ndio nguo mbele na nyuma.
Hakuna, kila kitu yote hakuna, hata nyumba hakuna.
Elgeyo Marakwet County Commissioner Dr. Ahmed Omar has appealed for calm, urging the locals to let the government probe the arson. Omar assured the residents that the aid was on the way.
So ndugu zangu, mimi napenda kuhakikishia kuwa ndio mmepata mkasa. Tunafanya juhudi zozote zile. Tumeongea na stakeholders wengi wenzetu. Red Cross, World Vision, tuongea na wote, Catholic Justice, wote wale ambao wanahusisha, tuongea na serikali ya Nairobi. Kama utapata msaada kwa haraka iwezekanavyo, wale walioathiriwa wapate kusaidika.
The attack has left local authorities puzzled and residents worried that they might be staring down the barrel. Elsewhere, a family of a 90-year-old grandmother from Shinyalu village in Kakamega County is demanding for justice after she was gang raped and murdered in her house.
Mwenye ameua huyu nyanya tunamwona ndio huyu wako hapa. Huyo mama mwenye ameorganize mwenye amekuja amesema. So, sisi tunaomba serikali ichukue tu haki.
Tunakashifu hicho kitendo, ni kibaya sana. Na waliofanya kitendo ni vijana wadogo, si wazee wakubwa, ambapo tumeshtuka na tunashangaa na kuomba serikali itusaidie.
The family is calling for immediate investigation by the police. The family claims that the granny was murdered in a love triangle involving her granddaughter.
Ni rafiki ya huyu msichana mwenye anakaa na shosho. Sasa bibi yake kusikia kwamba iko jamaa hii bwana yake ananyemelea kaka msichana, sasa ikawa njama ifanyike ili huyu msichana auawe.
Kijana anasema alifikiria na huyo Sharo, lakini alipata si Sharo.
Residents are demanding justice even as they decried the deteriorating state of insecurity in the area. Beatrice Gatonyengetich, Channel 1 News.
In other news, survivors of the Monday boat accident in Masinga Dam, in which 2 fishermen perished, now attribute the accident to strong winds. Safina Chinguma has more details.
At the shores of Masinga Dam, a dark cloud hovers as residents gather for a brief meeting following the death of 2 fishermen whose boat capsized on Monday, the 3rd of May 2021. On board were 4 fishermen, 2 were lucky to survive. Benson Mwasia, one of the survivors, say they had to hold on to the boat for several hours before they were swept to the shore, but 2 of their colleagues were unable to swim due to the intensity of the wind.
Tulikuwa tu harakati za kazi. Alafu upepo ikazidi. Sasa harakati za upepo boti tulikuwa na yeye ikazama. Tulikuwa 4. Wenye walifaulu tukiwa 2. Wenzetu 2 walizama kwa maji.
He narrates how he managed to escape death by a whisker swimming amidst heavy winds.
Sisi yenye tu ilitusaidia tuseme tu ni Mungu juu akilenye ilitufikia wakati huo ni kujishikilia hiyo boti yenye tulianguka nayo. Hiyo kujishikilia boti upepo ikatupeleka mpaka kando. Bali sana.
He says that a good Samaritan rescued them when they were swept to the shore of the dam. Their 2 colleagues, however, were not lucky as they were unable to swim due to the strong winds. According to the area chief Zipora Mutiso, the bodies of the deceased floated 5 days after the accident. Reporting for Channel 1 News, I'm Safin Aching Oma.
And construction of the multi-million Kasese Peace Dam in West Pokot near the Kenya-Uganda border is near completion. The project is already exciting residents who say they cannot wait to stop crossing over to Uganda in search of water for their livestock. These and more highlights in the County News Roundup. Kenya and Uganda signed an agreement aimed at promoting peace among the Pokot, Turkana and Karamojong communities, and constructing of the 250 million dam was part of the multilateral resolutions. West Pokot County Project Implementation Committee, led by County Commissioner Apollo Okello, visited the dam Wednesday to oversee its progress and pointed out it will be complete by end of June and handed over to the community.
Ndani ya mwezi moja atakuwa amemaliza na bado contractor atakuwa kwa site kwa mwaka ingine moja kuangalia kama sehemu fulani itakuwa imeharibika.
Meanwhile, residents of Lanet, Nakuru County will now access healthcare services at the newly commissioned Lanet Sub-County Hospital. The 35 million shilling project is part of the county government's 1 billion upgrade program targeting healthcare provision in all the 11 sub-counties.
Wakarushwa wamekuwa wakienda hospitali mbali sana. Wamekuwa wakienda either Kiwamu huko upande mrefu wa Kiamunyeki huko, na wengine wanaenda upande wa Dunduri. Especially wamama wamekuwa wakisumbuka sana.
Elsewhere, a section of environmental stakeholders hailing from Subukia and Nakuru County have decried of continued destruction of both Subukia and Bahati Forest, resulting to the drying up of rivers.
Tunagathabika, hatuna mvua, hatuna nini, tulipanda, tukalima mashamba, mvua ikuji. Sasa ndio tumeona ile inaendelea ni ukataji wa miti kwa hizi forests za huku Subukia, extension ya Bahati Forest, Ndondori Forest. Hiyo ndio inakuanga water catchment ya Subukia.
Subukia ni place ilikuwa ya maji mingi, mvua ilikuwa mingi, tukatoa wapanda mapema. Sasa hata tunastuka sana, watu wengi wamepanda ni kupalilia, sisi hata tujapanda. Lakini juu ukataji wa miti, misitu kuchomwa, sasa tunaomba tushikane na serikali. Hao wanasimamia mazingira, tupande miti irudi kama kitambo na maisha yetu endelee vizuri.
And gains made in increasing the number of donkeys in the country may be eroded after the High Court ruling that lifted the ban on the slaughter of the animals. Animal Welfare Association and donkey owners have challenged the state to appeal against the ruling, which lifted the ban introduced early last year.
Hapo awali, wakati ambapo hiyo kichinjio ilikuwa inafanya kazi, tulipoteza punda wengi sana na tuliweza kuumia, na ndio tukaweza kupetition serikali na ikaweza kufungwa kwa muda.
Orange Democratic Movement Party will hold its grassroots elections after 2022 general elections due to the lack of adequate time to prepare for the polls.
We have agreed at the National Central Committee that we carry out harmonization in all our branches and in all our party structures because of that. And we feel this will be more viable at the moment, because even if you did elections near general election, it becomes a problem. Many issues arise, and in the process you might divide the party.
Meanwhile, the Laikipia County government has recorded an increase in revenue collection despite the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic that have dented the country's economy. According to Governor Derita Moreithi, this can be attributed to resilience and commitment by Laikipia taxpayers.
Revenue is up 133 million compared to this time last year. So if you compare revenue to April 2020 and revenue to April 2021, we are up 133 million, which is about 24.5%.
Finally, the National Council of Churches Kenya has called for the full reconstitution of IEBC as the country heads for the referendum and 2022 general elections.
Preparations for the referendum on the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020 are continuing. We applaud the government for listening to the church call to fully constitute the IEBC Commission towards the preparation for the referendum and 2022 general elections.
Well, and across borders, the deadly Indian COVID variant has been found in the United Kingdom. Meanwhile, Australia will resume repatriation flights for its citizens stranded in India.
Residents say police killed suspects who wanted to surrender and entered homes without a warrant. Police have denied any wrongdoing, saying officers acted in self-defense. Vast areas of Rio de Janeiro, one of Brazil's most violent cities, are under the control of criminals, many of them linked to powerful drug trafficking gangs. Security forces are often accused of disproportionate force during their anti-crime operations. Elsewhere, a girl is reported to be 11 or 12 years old shot and wounded 2 students and a member of staff at a school in the U.S. state of Idaho, police said. The unnamed pupil, who is in the 6th grade, brought a gun to Rugby Middle School in the city of the same name and opened fire. The 3 victims are expected to survive, officials said. The motive for the shooting is yet clear.
Je, umeomoka? Kama hujaomoka kwenye QuickBin ndio mambo yote. Hapa tuko na fridge, kodi yake ni CM. Tuko na gas cooker, kodi yake ni CK. Tuko na TV, kodi yake ni TV. Tuko na simu aina ya Samsung ni SM, ama Oppo ni Oppo. My friend, mahali popote unanitizama, eka hizo kodi zake kisha utume kwa 4032353. 4032353, alafu utakuwa unaomoka na hizi bidhaa. Kumbuka, kwenye QuickBin ni bidhaa bora zaidi kwa bei ya chini kwa chini.
Weekend on KBC Channel 1.
Darius, let's go. I ain't finished playing yet. I said it's time to go.
Look at you, and I just think that we can have some beautiful babies.
I have a career, and a baby's just gonna get in the way right now.
Look at you, look at you.
Are you gonna hoop later?
Yeah.
Good. We'll feel a little spare tire.
If you stop spending so much time with those boys, you wouldn't be having this argument right now.
I'm out of here.
Dave is too good a man for you to lose. You got to go over there and snatch him. I need you to know that I love you so much. You'd make an excellent daddy someday.
Not easily broken.
The Policyholders Compensation Fund, PCF, would like to notify Concord Insurance Company Limited policyholders and beneficiaries that the payment period to lodge their claims has been extended for an additional 30 days. The new deadline is now 14th May 2021. All claimants of Concord Insurance Company Limited are required to download the claims form from PCF website www.pcf.go.ke, IRA website www.ira.go.ke, or pick the form from PCF offices, 2nd floor, ZEP Replace, Longonot Road. Fill the form in duplicate and attach copies of the required documents. Submit to PCF for verification, approval, and processing of payment. All payments will be made in line with the fund's guidelines and procedures. PCF, the fund you can trust.
Welcome back. And in the business world, West Pokot and Laikipia have emerged as the counties with the most transparent budgets. Nyeri, Makueni and Samburu snapped up the remaining 3 slots to close the top 5 counties with the most open budgets. Kirinyaga, Narok, Taita Taveta and Wajir were ranked counties with the most opaque budgets according to a research by International Budget Partnership. Here is our reporter Caroline Jenge with the findings of the 2020 County Budget Transparency Survey.
Access to timely and comprehensive information is critical if the public is to participate in government decision-making, especially on the budget-making process. The Constitution of Kenya and the Public Finance Management Act requires each of the 47 counties to publish and publicize budget documents throughout the budget cycle. The budget documents are meant to help the public shape county priorities and monitor the implementation of budgets. However, according to a survey released today by the International Budget Partnership, the level of budget transparency across Kenya's 47 counties is extremely low, and citizens have limited access to budget information in the counties.
And it's also important because it enables us to see whether the budget priorities are actualized in implementation, so that we do not participate in budget making. And then once it's done, the books are signed, closed, everybody goes home. We come back again next year to develop another budget.
The survey found that West Pokot and Laikipia counties have the most transparent budgets. Nyeri, Makueni and Samburu locked up the remaining 3 slots in the top 5 counties with the most open budgets. Kirinyaga, Narok, Taita Taveta and Wajir were ranked counties with the most opaque budgets. Lead researcher at IBP Kipkoril Biegon says that only 40% of budget documents that should be public by law were published by the counties. This is an improvement from 32% in the 2019 survey. Some counties produce the budget documents but fail to publish and publicize them.
So there were 20 counties that are not publishing the budget document, but that has reduced. Right now we only have 4 counties not publishing a budget document in their websites.
It is key, accessibility is key, and I think completeness, because from what Kikoril has said, you have certain counties that publish information that may not necessarily be, fully complete. So completeness is important.
The survey noted that out of the budget documents assessed, the county quarterly budget implementation reports remain the least published documents, while the county integrated development plan was the most published document. The annual development plan has been progressively published over the years. The budget documents, however, lacked specific details of budget information needed to monitor service delivery.
The construction of various infrastructural projects in Lamu County has opened up business and economic activities in the island. For the last 10 years, the government has invested more than 100 billion shillings in the county to construct new roads, ports, power lines, among other projects. As the Lamu port gets ready to receive its first ship later this year, there are high expectations that this will accelerate development in the coastal county.
This is part of the Garseni-Mokoe Jetty Road. 5 years ago, the road was a health and security hazard. Criminals used to lie in wait to rob unsuspecting motorists using this road that was in bad condition. Residents of this small town, Hindi, used to suffer from chronic lung disease due to dust. However, the situation is different today.
Nimekuja hapa kutoka 2012. Ambayo tukikuja huku kulikuwa down sana. Hatukuwa na barabara, hatukuwa na stima, na tangu port yanze tumeona maendeleo.
As part of the Lamu Port South Sudan Ethiopia transport corridor, the highway is being constructed to international standards to facilitate transport in the area. Residents say the business has improved due to the ongoing road construction.
It's time hakuna no wastage of time. And then pia naona kuna customer wameweza kuflow, kuna movement ya watu, so tunaweza kupata business kidogo compared to the other times.
Investors wameanza kuingia. Yani wafanyiwa vijana wamepata kazi huko poti. Magari mingi imeanza kuingia. Maendeleo mingi. Watu wamejenga. Kumeendelea sana.
Security has also been beefed by the Kenya Defence Forces and members of the General Service Unit, improving business environment.
Upande wa security, tangu barabara iwe sawa, so of late hatusikii any issues in security. So I think at the moment tuko sawa kabisa.
According to the Kenya National Highways Authority, the corridor is expected to be completed on time. While inspecting the Garseni-Mokoe Road, Kenha Director General Engineer Peter Mudinia reiterated that works on other roads is also underway to boost the port operations.
From here where we are at Mokoe, there used to be a missing link to the port, which was about 15 kilometers. And we have done it already. It's open to traffic. Only a very small section, just next to the port, that is yet to be cleared. And that is happening within the next 2 weeks. So we are seeing this county changing quite a lot because besides what I've mentioned, we are also doing the road from Buthei to Kiunga.
But to the construction of this highway, among others, residents of Hindi are hoping that this will be a new beginning for their businesses and livelihoods.
20th nasikia ndio meli ya kwanza inaingia. So tunategemea vijana wetu watapata kazi. Kutakuwa na maendeleo mingi, tutakuwa na wageni wengi. Na tunashukuru serikali pia.
The road construction network to Lamu Port has been of benefit to the residents of Lamu Island and its environs. Over 90% of the road construction from Mokoe to Garseni is complete. For Business News from Lamu County, I am Anburu.
Well, the Central Bank of Kenya has recommended the sale of Chatterhouse Bank Limited and appointed the Kenya Deposit Insurance Corporation as the liquidator. CBK Governor Patrick Njoroge says the liquidation would facilitate the orderly resolution of the assets and liabilities of the bank to protect the interest of depositors and its creditors.
Chatterhouse Bank was established in 1996 after taking over the operations of Middle East Kenya Finance Limited. Subsequently, the institution converted to a fully fledged bank in 1998. The bank had 10 branches in Nairobi, Kisumu and Mombasa. On June 23, 2006, CBK placed Chatterhouse Bank under statutory management after the bank violated the Banking Act on money laundering, accuracy of returns submitted to CBK, and failure to obtain account opening documentation for various customers. 15 years later, the Central Bank of Kenya has recommended the liquidation of Chatterhouse Bank Limited and appointed the Kenya Deposit Insurance Corporation as the liquidator. This follows the submission of the statutory manager recommending that Chatterhouse Bank be liquidated. The report indicates liquidation is the only feasible option. CBK Governor Patrick Njoroge says the sale of Chatterhouse Bank will facilitate the orderly resolution of the assets and liabilities to protect the interest of Chatterhouse Bank depositors, its creditors, other stakeholders, and the wider public interest. KDIC will be releasing more information about the liquidation of Chatterhouse Bank and payment of depositors.
And in the sports arena, the national boxing team head squad is set to leave the country Saturday ahead of the Konstantin Korotkov Memorial Championship slated for 10th to 16th May in Russia. Head squad will use the championship to prepare for Tokyo Olympic Games and also to gauge the potential of emerging boxers.
Head squad head coach Musa Benjamin says his boxers are in tip-top shape ahead of the Konstantin Korotkov Memorial Championship in Russia. The Kenyan coaches will use the championship in Russia to test the preparedness of Nico Koth, Elia Joey, Elizabeth Akinyi and Christine Ongare ahead of the Olympics in Tokyo, Japan.
Maandalizi yetu yote yako geared towards mashindano ya Olimpiki ambayo yatafanyika mwezi wa 7 kule Tokyo. Imekuwa ni ngumu kabisa hii maandalizi manake kutokana na COVID, janga la COVID, mashindano yetu ya local yaliweza kusitishwa, so hatujakuwa na mashindano za hapa nyumbani.
Mimi kenye ninaweza sema ni nimecheza part yangu, the rest naachia God, kwa sababu kila mtu akienda kwa field ama ukiprepare for something, kila mtu anataka pale kuwa mshindi, so mwenye ata outsmart ndio mwenye atakuwa winner, kwa sababu kuna mtu mwenye anataka kuwa loser.
This will be the second international assignment for Hit Squad after bagging 13 medals, 1 gold, 5 silver and 7 bronze at the Africa Zone 3 Boxing Championship in the Democratic Republic of Congo in March.
Yani nenda huko kwanza nikiwa kivingine, lakini siende kivingine sana juu mission sio hiyo. Mission ni Tokyo, naona. Niko tu hapo lakini mambo yote natakuwa amari yote natakuachilia Tokyo. Hiyo peke yake ndio mambo ndio ndakuwa nimeridhika kwa roho.
Meanwhile, Kenya's top seed Jendenga failed to advance to the semi-finals at the ongoing Vila Moura Open in Portugal after losing by 2 straight sets, 6-love, 6-love to Charlotte Feybank of France. Feybank will now take on Duval Merocol in the semi-finals, while the second semi-final pairing will see Pauline Duralud face Anne Busra of Turkey. Another Kenyan, Sururu Asia Mohammed, lost to Wendt Brita of Germany in the first round of the women's singles. In the men's category, Kenya's top seed Peter Munuve was bundled out in the second round of the men's singles after losing by straight sets to Jay Sepulveda. The Kenya national wheelchair tennis team will use the championship to qualify for the upcoming Tokyo Olympic Games. Karanja David for Channel 1 Sport.
The Kenya Rugby Union has recalled the national sevens women's team, the Lionesses, from the Rugby Africa Solidarity Camp in Tunisia. Now, the union says the move is in line with the state COVID-19 mitigation protocols. In a statement, the Kenya Rugby Union said the decision is based on advice from the medical team and was made after consultation with Rugby Africa, the Ministry of Sports and the Tunisian Rugby Federation. The statement further said it was a great opportunity to gauge the team and also exchange ideas on growing the women's game on the continent. Manchester United reached their first final of the Ole Gunnar era but lost the 7th match unbeaten record in an entertaining Europa League last 4 encounter against the Italian side AS Roma. Now, meanwhile, Arsenal's Europa League hopes were dashed as Villarreal sealed a semi-final victory that almost certainly ended the Ole Gunnar's unbroken 25-season run appearing on European competition.
Edison Cavani scored both United goals in the second leg of a 13-goal semi-final, which saw United proceed to the final with an 8-5 aggregate win. Cavani opened the scoring for United in the 39th minute before Edin Dzeko levelled the score in the first 15 minutes of the second half. Brian Chris Dante added a second in the 60th minute, but United equalled the score 8 minutes later. Tele scored an own goal which saw Roma clinch a win but didn't qualify for the finals. In another match, Arsenal's Europa League hopes were dashed as Villarreal sealed a semi-final victory that will almost certainly end the Gunners' unbroken 25-season run of appearing in the European competition. Trailing 2-1 from the first leg in Spain and knowing that victory in this tournament represented their only realistic route back into the Champions League, Mikel Arteta's side could not find a way past the visitors' stubborn defense. The finals of the Europa League will be played in Gdansk, Poland on the 26th of May.
Leicester City manager Brendan Rodgers has confirmed that defenders Johnny Evans and Ricardo Pereira are both fit to face Newcastle United at the King Power Stadium tonight. Leicester, who are placed third in the EPL table, will be looking forward to clinch a win to keep their dream of the Champions League qualification alive.
Leicester City still have plenty to play for this season, and a win will be another big step towards securing a top 4 spot. Leicester City manager Brendan Rodgers has confirmed that defenders Johnny Evans and Ricardo Pereira are both fit to face Newcastle United in the English Premier League at King Power Stadium tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be tight right to the end. We've always thought that. I think we can only really concentrate on ourselves, Rob, and do our own job. And in order to finish high up in those top 4, you got to win games. So we're in a great position on 63 points. We've got 4 more games to go, and we'll look to our next game to win, and that's what we'll look to do in all the games between now and the end of the season.
Wes Morgan remains out with a back problem, while James Justin and Harvey Barnes are long-time absentees. The Magpies are without Fabian Schär as a result of his red card against Arsenal, but Joe Willock returns after being ineligible against his parent club. Isaac Hayden, Jamal Lascelles, Caldalo and Ryan Fraser remain out on the sidelines. Even though Newcastle United were not mathematically safe, they played like they were safe when they lost to Arsenal last week, and now are looking forward not to repeat the same mistake. Daniel Mwendwa for Channel 1 Sport.
In a dress rehearsal for the upcoming All-English Champions League final, Manchester City will host Chelsea in Saturday's Premier League showdown at the Etihad Stadium. For these and more, here's a look at the weekend diary. Well, that is all we had for you tonight. Thank you for keeping it Channel 1. For more news, check out our website at kbc.co.ke. My name is Jacky, Wambiru, sign language interpreter has been Lucy Maura. Up next is your Safara with the weather updates. Have a good night.
A very good evening to you and a warm welcome to your Channel 1 weather updates. My name is Yusuf Farah. Now tonight rainfall is expected to continue in several parts of the country. Strong winds are expected to blow over the northern and the coastal parts of the country. Temperatures are expected to drop to 14 degrees Celsius in Eldoret, making it the coldest. Tomorrow morning we are waking up to sunny intervals in areas of Machakos, Makindo, Kitui and Voi. In the coastal region areas of Mombasa and Malindi, sunny intervals apart from Lamu, where showers are expected, accompanied by sunny intervals in the northeastern region areas of Mandera, Garissa, Wajir and Isiolo. Sunny intervals in the morning. The capital city wakes up to rains in the morning, partly cloudy conditions with sunny intervals. Areas of Alodo all the way to the Lake Turkana Basin are expected to have rains in the morning, accompanied by sunny intervals in the afternoon. Showers accompanied by thunderstorms in areas of Kisumu, Kitale, Kericho, Eldoret, all the way to Lodwar. Remember to keep warm in those regions. Areas of the capital city, Nyeri, Meru and its environs, rains in the afternoon accompanied by sunny intervals. Sunny intervals in the coastal region all the way to the northeastern region, with the exception of Mandera, where rains are expected. As far as the temperatures are concerned, highs of 34, lows of 26 in Mandera, highs of 35, lows of 24 in Garissa. The capital city, Nairobi, highs of 25 and lows of 16. That's your local weather focus. The international weather focus is coming up in a bit. Again, many thanks for keeping it Channel 1. I'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Until then, do have yourselves a pleasant night.